modern culture in the year 2016, morality has fallen into disrepair, into disuse, even into disrepute, because it's an obstacle to people reaching their selfish ambitions by any means necessary. That's what it's all about now, isn't it? Look out for number one. Get out of my way. I'm going to do anything I have to do. And especially, and nowhere is this been more egregiously manifested than political morality. There is no more morality in our politics. There are no more values in our politics, as I just said in the previous video. There are no ideas anymore. People don't care about ideas. People don't care about doing the right thing. People don't care about standing for anything. This is the tragedy of Trump mania. A lot of Trump supporters were Tea Partiers who evidently decided, whether they realized they were doing it or not, that if we can't beat them, join them. Let's go out and get our own demigod. Let's go out and form our own personality cult. Let's take the plunge into idolatry and authoritarianism. And, of course, once you do that, well, then all the left's obstacles become your obstacles, and you effectively become another wing, another arm of the left. I've come to using the term National Socialism, not so much the Hitler connotation, but just nationalism and socialism. The twin pillars of Trump mania, to the degree that you can identify any coherent ideological foundation to the misbegotten enterprise. But nationalism, make America great again, whatever the hell that's supposed to mean. And it means make America Trump. That's what it means, to him anyway. And socialism, because ideologically, the bulk of Trump's agenda, that so far as you can identify one, really is a Democrat agenda. All kinds of big government interventionism in the economy, protectionism, which will just worsen America's economic decline and the world's. And isolationism, which fits right in the Democrat playbook. Selling out to the Russians, that's right in the Democrat playbook. I mean, you can just keep going. But the only things you could point to and say, well, that's definitely a departure, is hardline stance on illegal immigration. Well, look what Trump has done with that this week. Toss that overboard. The core, the crown jewel of Trumpism, and if you can identify anything as being Trumpism besides Trump being Trump, the personality cult, it was, we got to get rid of all the illegal aliens because they're all a bunch of murderers and thieves and rapists and so forth. So that's what all that's gone. I mean, nobody cares about ideas. Ideas just get in the way. Principles get in the way. You need to be flexible. You need to be nimble. Any port in a storm. All the things that so many Trump supporters used to claim to hate. They were all about principle. They were all about purity. They were all about fight, fight, fight. And they became so obsessed with fight, fight, fight that they forgot about everything else. And so they saw Donald Trump and, well, we need somebody who can just smash through everything. You're like, Hulk, smash! But when you smash, you tend to smash your own side too. You know, collateral damage. And just looking at the dismal results, it certainly looked to me like Trump Hulk has smashed a lot more on the Republican side than he ever has on the Democrat side. Do the Democrats look worse the wear for the rise of Trump? I don't see it. And that comes after them inflicting Hillary Clinton upon themselves. But Donald Trump has done so much more damage to the GOP than he has the Democrats. And what that underscores, as Ben Shapiro masterfully lays forth at nationalreview.com today, is that Americans, and especially Trump supporters, must relearn political morality. I'm not holding out. I'm not holding out hope for the Democrats on this. I mean, they were far gone round the bend decades ago. But now it's in this same diseased mentality has invaded the GOP, and it must be purged if this country is to retain a conservative movement that is nationally viable and competitive, which it won't be without a national political vehicle like the Republican Party. Now, this week, Barack Obama headed down to Louisiana to view the flood damage in Baton Rouge. Belatedly. He'd resisted doing so for weeks. According to political ally Chris Celica of the Washington Post, Obama believes he can monitor the situation as well or better from where he is, and that the sole reason to go to Louisiana is for the theatrical piece of politics, a piece that he not only rejects but detests, which we kind of always suspected was the case, but it politically behooved him 10 years ago or 11 years ago with Hurricane Katrina, and then 4 years ago with Superstorm Sandy to pretend to believe otherwise. So back in 2012, Obama pretended not to detest such politicking when he flew to New Jersey to view Hurricane Sandy damage, and then took Chris Christie for a romantic stroll along the boardwalk. And he pretended not to detest visiting Louisiana flood areas when he blasted George W. Bush for seeing the victims of Hurricane Katrina from the window of an airplane instead of down here on the ground. This, of course, is why only about half of Americans consider Obama to be honest. And that's a higher number now than it has been in years, and that's almost solely because of one Donald J. Trump. I will remind you once again. Now, Obama isn't the only dishonest national politician, of course. Hillary Clinton lies routinely to her own supporters. She campaigned on the ridiculous pledge to stop crony politicking. But meanwhile, she's been plagued by allegation after allegation of pay-for-play corruption at the State Department, where she traded access for donations to the Clinton Foundation official slush fund. Hillary says she wants to take the rich down a peg, but she and her husband turned their dead broke status into a $100 million fortune on the back of back-scratching from friends at firms such as Goldman Sachs, companies she pretends to hate. That's what I was saying earlier about Hillary Clinton and the Hillary Scarecrow crowd. Oh my God, Hillary! At one time, she may have been all of those things that my old friend Doug Gibbs called her. Now she's just an old phony. She doesn't care. She just wants power and status. She doesn't care how she gets it. Just 11% of Americans think Hillary Clinton is honest and trustworthy. And then there's Donald Trump, who spent the early part of this week walking back his faux hardline position on illegal immigration. After flip-flopping positions on every issue, from due process for gun removal to punishment for abortion, Trump has reportedly decided to renege on his central campaign promise to deport 30 million illegal aliens. Just 16% of Americans think Trump is honest and trustworthy. See, Americans know our politicians lie to us. And yet we're more loyal to politicians than we've ever been at any time in recent history. That seems illogical, doesn't it? Personal unpopularity, as pollsters have noted, now seems completely disconnected from election results. Voters know they're pulling the lever for liars and charlatans, but they don't seem to care. And therefore, they don't demand any better. In fact, they seem averse to candidates who tell them precisely what they're going to do. The most truthful candidates in the Republican primaries did the worst. According to a February 2016 Quinnipiac poll, for example, 72% of Republicans said that Marco Rubio was honest and trustworthy. 70% said that Jeb Bush was honest and trustworthy. 65% said that of John Kasich. 62% said that of Ted Cruz. Just 60% said Trump was honest and trustworthy of Republican primary voters. Among Democrats, 87% said Bernie Sanders was honest and trustworthy, while Hillary Clinton clocked in at just 61%. Guess who won? There are two reasons for that, in Mr. Shapiro's August opinion, and I agree with him completely on this. First off, honesty and trustworthiness are now seen as obstacles to political success, which reflects the peril in which we find ourselves in this country in 2016. Because if you tell people the truth, that we're in a lot of trouble and it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of sacrifice to get out of it, well, people don't want to hear that. They want people to tell them BS. They want people to tell them what they want to hear, not the truth. When the truth becomes lethal politically, you know how much trouble the country is really in. See, Americans think that the government is so corrupt that we need corrupt people to fix it. Think about that for a minute. Oh, the government's corrupt. Oh, we need somebody who will just smash through it. Well, we need Donald Trump. Principle? Yeah. Trump smash! People who won't work within the system, but who will instead shatter it and replace it with... that's idea stuff. We don't do that stuff anymore. We just smash! Anger is an idea, apparently. It isn't, but that's what they want to believe. New Trump campaign ceremonial CEO Steve Bannon, a former bona fide Goldman Sachs Beltway insider turned faux political outsider, expresses the sentiment well. Quote, this is a direct quote from the CEO, however ceremonial that is, of Donald Trump's presidential campaign. Lenin wanted to destroy the state, and that's my goal too. I want to bring everything crashing down and destroy all of today's establishment. By the way, Trump now owns the establishment. Trump now is the establishment. Do you understand that, Trumplicans? That's all you really cared about. That's another argument to make in that regard. You didn't care about changing the establishment. You just wanted to become the establishment. We've traded an establishment that wasn't what Trumplicans said it was for one that they control that is what they accuse the other one of having made. Corrupt, authoritarian, anti-constitutional, Democrat light. Democrats nominated Hillary Clinton to use her corruption on behalf of leftism. Republicans nominated Donald Trump to use his corruption on behalf of National Socialism. Then there's the second reason. In the absence of loyalty to political principle, Americans instead Oh, this is so spot on. In the absence of loyalty to political principle, Americans instead fall into God worship of their politicians. Idolatry. Bang! Right on target. Most Americans believe in certain political solutions: higher taxes, less regulation, more military funding, criminal justice reform, but few Americans have a coherent political worldview. Why is one solution better than another? Why should we respect some rights while quashing others? See, this is where being taught constitutional originalism would solve this problem. What did I say a long time ago after editing one of Douglas V. Gibbs's books? I said, and I quote, and I put it in the little blurb I wrote for it on Amazon.com. I said, the Constitution is the context of conservatism. But what we're talking about here is just a big tossed salad of pragmatism. Nobody knows why they believe what they believe, if they believe anything, and nobody seems to believe in anything except idolatry anymore and corruption. What's in it for me? You can't beat them, join them. So, without that context, why indeed is one solution better than another? Well, for decades, both the left and the right have answered certain policies are better because certain policies are more effective. In other words, pragmatism. But effectiveness isn't a foolproof argument because it's not perfect. You can always find sometime some example of where a particular policy has failed someone, thanks to the complexity inherent in politics. And so then all you have to do is get a media crew over, and here's your sob story on the in the media on the 6 o'clock news, and we're off to the races again. For example, which was responsible for the 1990s economic boom? Ronald Reagan's tax cutting or Bill Clinton's tax increases? Well, if you knew the first thing about economics, you would know that the answer to that is Ronald Reagan's tax cutting. Tax increases don't increase economic activity. It's a definitional thing. But people don't have that context. They don't have that education, you see. It's whoever got to them most recently. Who was more responsible for the economic collapse of 2008? Bill Clinton for his sponsorship of subprime lending, or George W. Bush for not restricting investments by banks? And he tried to, by the way, but Chris Dodd and Barney Frank blocked every Republican attempt to do so. You know, the ones whose names were on the Dodd-Frank fascization of the financial industry in 2010. Talk about the ultimate political caper, that the Democrat financial logic bomb. Oh boy, talk about getting away with it scot-free. Policy experts battle these issues out daily, but there's no clear-cut answer. Well, actually, there are clear-cut answers, but nobody has the context to see them. In the end, most Americans decide which policies they prefer on the basis of morality. And because, or at least they used to, and because Americans no longer learn political morality, they no longer learn about the moral framework that supports the Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution, they fall back on bumper sticker morality and tacky-looking Make America Great trucker hats. Democrats say, stronger together. Republicans believe, America first. These slogans have little meaning in a vacuum. Political leaders must give them meaning. And thus we get into the personality cult. And so Americans fall in behind politicians they don't trust to impose slogans that mean nothing but give them the illusion of meaning and personal self-esteem, I'm guessing. The politicians need not fulfill any philosophic worldview. They need only offer an agglomeration of policy positions constantly shifting to the political needs of the moment under their broadly agreeable rubric. Hillary's flip-flopping on the Trans-Pacific Partnership doesn't threaten her stronger together sloganeering. Trump's flip-flopping on immigration doesn't change the illusion, the lie that he believes in America first. He believes in Russia first, actually. You want to know the truth, which most of you don't. And so we get politicians who lie constantly, every time they open their mouths. And we celebrate their lies, since only liars can win in a corrupt system. And far better our liar than theirs. The only corrective to this perverse marriage of cynicism and star worship, idolatry, lies in a revival of principle, and that is why Never Trump exists. Imagine a world in which we hold our politicians to the standard of God-given rights protected by a government designed not to invade those rights, in which interest checks interest, in which states and the federal government balance each other in a great ongoing battle for power. In other words, a constitutional federal republic, which this country used to be, but now clearly is no longer. That was the vision of the founders. And that vision meant that Americans demanded that our politicians not lie to us. From either party. That they cohere to our worldview. That they cohere to the Constitution. And stand for that worldview and the eternal grinding gears that the constitutional structure represents. Which is why I can't understand why Mr. Constitution himself, Douglas V. Gibbs, is supporting Trump. Until we have such a vision again, all we're going to get is more of the same. All we're going to get is more Hillarys, more Trumps. We'll get petty, corrupt politicians we worship as saviors from our petty, corrupt system, and we will not fix or improve a damned thing. We'll cheer them because they mouth dumbed-down slogans 3 generations removed from any real philosophical underpinning. And then we'll wonder why our politics continue to suck.